Okay, we are on day 12 of week 3 of the Healthy for the Holidays 2022 series, and it is Habits Week. Habits Week is one of my favorites, but I say that for every week, so, take it for what it's will. Take it for what you will. Yesterday, I introduced the topic of habits, and essentially the takeaway was that we focus too much of our efforts on the goals we're going to accomplish or the program we're going to follow or the thing we want to do, right? And we don't give nearly enough consideration to what type of person we are and the type of habits that we would need to create or cultivate in order to reach that goal. So for instance, people will say to me, all right, Eliza, I'm going to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to go on the Whole30. Great. All of those things are fine. You do what you want. And what type of person would you need to be? What habits would you need to form in order to accomplish being on the Whole30? So in other words, if you are a person who, like I mentioned yesterday, you do really well during the week, and then on the weekend, it becomes, I have margaritas and I go out for tacos and I have brunch, and by the end of the weekend I feel frustrated and then I start over again on Monday. If that is your habit, it does you no good to have the goal of losing 20 pounds and committing to the Whole30. Do you see how that works? When we're focused so much on the goal and we don't reflect on our habits and ways of being, like I mentioned yesterday, we are habitual beings. Our body and our brain and our physiology is set up and is wired for homeostasis. It's wired for sameness. It's wired to do the same things, think the same things, be the same way. Now, we can change all of that. Of course we can. That's, what my entire work is all about. But we don't change it by just implementing a new goal, right? So from a fitness perspective, someone will say, I want to run a marathon. Fantastic, run a marathon, right? But if you are not in the habit of going out to run, right? If you have not created the habit of running consistently, you're not going to make it to that marathon, right? Like, let's say you have the goal of, I'm going to run a marathon, but your habit is to have your alarm go off and you hit snooze and it's too cold or it's too rainy or it's too anything. You are in the habit of skipping your workout. If you don't focus on changing your habit of skipping your workout, your goal of running the marathon never gets accomplished. Okay. Same thing happens for my folks with food. And this is the most common way I see it with food. It becomes, my goal is to cut out sugar. Okay, fine. Like I said, you can hear it in my voice. People's goals and people's desires, that's up to them. I have no judgment. I support you in whatever your goals and desires are. I make sure that they are in support of your healthy alignments, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And then I help you figure out the roadblocks and the sabotage in the way of meeting your goals. Your goals are your goals, whatever they are. Let's say your goal is to cut out sugar for 30 days. Great. Okay. If you have your reasons, feels aligned, feels good for you, fantastic. 30 days, cut out sugar. But if you are in the habit of having sugar after dinner, or you are in the habit of eating sugar after every meal, or you are in the habit of having no sugar during the week and then, binging on sugar over the weekend, if those are your habits, it's fine to have the goal, but what you will find is you are either, number one, white knuckling your way through the goal, which ends up building and building and building and building and building. And what happens for most people is that the pendulum swings in the opposite direction. And by the time that 30 days is up, they're binging on sugar, undoing any progress that they've made. So you're either white knuckling, which actually most people don't make it through a white knuckle because our physiology's tendency to bring us back towards habits is so strong that the white knuckling doesn't last that long. So either white knuckling or you end up having the goal, having the mindset of no sugar, but by the time the evening rolls around or the weekend rolls around or whatever your habit is, your brain has been cueing you to that habit for so long in so many ways that you go back to the behavior and you end up frustrated with yourself. And then you think, there's something wrong with me. I can't do this. Why can't I stick to 30 days? One of the biggest things is because you're not giving enough focus or attention on what your habit is rather than what your goal is. Okay, I have sufficiently beat that dead horse. So let's move on. Yesterday, I asked you to start examining in relation to a goal that you have for yourself, examining your habits. What are the habits that you do or don't do that gets you further away from your goal? Are you in the habit of overeating? Are you in the habit of eating, too much? Are you in the habit of eating the wrong things? Are you in the habit of doing great all week and then overeating on the weekends? What are you in the habit of? I used to be a snacker back in the days when I, was struggling to maintain my weight with ease. I was a snacker, right? It became, I've worked from home for a very long time. And, when I'm done with a client session, I was in the habit of going up and kind of mindlessly looking in the pantry for something to eat, right? It was a habit. And again, before I knew better, I would be focusing on, okay, I'm going to eat this many calories, or I'm on this, diet program or plan or whatever it was, ignoring the fact that my habit was that I was a snacker. And then I would go up and eat these meals between sessions as a way to calm my nervous system, right? And so every time I would bump up against this, why isn't this working for me? Or, why am I not where I want to be with my body or whatever it was? It's because I'm ignoring my habits and focusing on the arbitrary goals that I've set for myself. So it wasn't until I said, wait a second, how do I want to address this habit of being a snacker? Now, there's a number of ways I could have addressed the habit. I could snack on different things. I could do something else instead of going up and snacking. I could, whatever. And I am no longer a snacker unless I intentionally, feel like having a snack, because I changed my habit of becoming a snacker. So what were your habits that are getting in the way? And these, again, are habits that you either need to start or you either need to stop. So that's a first order of business, is start becoming intentional and aware of what your habits are. Flip side today becomes, if you think about the goal that you have set for yourself, what do you need to get in the habit of doing or not doing? So flip it. So the first one was, what are you not in the habit of doing or not doing? Or in other words, what habits are getting in the way of your goal currently? The things that you're either doing or not doing. Another way to say that, and another lens to look at things from, are what are the habits that you need to have or not have in order to meet your goal, right? So a different way of saying the same thing, but I want you to look at it from both sides. What do you need to cultivate, right? And what are you already doing that's getting in the way? And some of those can cross over. So like, if you had already said, well, the thing that I'm not doing that is getting in my way is that I say I'm going to go to the gym and work out and I don't. That is also the same thing as, what do I need to create? I need to create a habit of going to the gym. See how those can be the same thing, but we're looking at them from a different way. So that's what I want you to do today, is to take a look at your goals and get really mindful and clear of the habits that you need to create. In other words, what type of person do you need to be in order for you to reach your goals? So most people come to me, they start off coming to me when they're working on health and wellness goals, but then they'll stay with me to work on relationship goals, financial goals, career goals, all kinds of things that they have, what kind of person that they want to be. And I do the same thing across the board. In relationships, what kind of habits do you need to cultivate? What type of communication habits do you need to have? What type of listening habits do you need to have? In financial concerns, what type of spending habits do you need to have? What type of saving habits do you need to have? What type of, belief system and mindset do you have around your financial goals? In careers, we do the same thing. I had a client a couple of weeks ago who, really, really wants to grow her social media presence. And she had this big goal of like, how many followers do I want to have? Well, that's fine to have the goal, but who do you need to be in order to get those followers? And she was saying, I need to show up consistently, which, as you guys know, I have, a challenge with myself, so I can relate. I need to get in the habit of showing up consistently in order to reach my goal, right? So we go through what are the habits that we need to either create or stop in order to get to the goals that we want. All right, that is your homework for today. And I will just remind you where I started this is at its basic level, who we are across every area of our lives is the culmination or the combination of our habits, right? Am I in the habit of yelling at my kids? Am I in the habit of giving my husband a kiss when he walks in from work? Am I in the habit of showing up on social media? Am I in the habit of getting my work done on time? Am I in the habit of doing the laundry? Am I in the habit of eating nutrient-dense whole foods? Am I in the habit of going to the gym, right? We are a culmination of all of our habits, the way we think, the way we execute, the behaviors that we have, the behaviors that we don't have, right? So when we start to examine this from a different way, because we're taught sort of on, we're taught from information, whether it's books or social media or the web or TV or whatever, is set a goal, go get it, right? Decide what you want, go do that. And we miss some really important subconscious steps about, as humans, how we execute on behaviors, right? If we don't know how we execute on behaviors, we end up, this is what happens in New Year's resolutions, right? Like how many millions of people are setting New Year's resolutions? Like, I'm going to do these 20 things. And then, they don't do any of them because it ignores how we execute behaviors and who we are as human beings and the parts of the brain structure that either encourage us or deter us from doing things, right? Consciously and subconsciously. Okay, clearly I get passionate about this subject. Go do your homework, and please feel free, whether it's on, the YouTube channel or the Mighty Network or Facebook, wherever you're watching this, please feel free to comment on some of your habit tracking. What are the things you need to cultivate? What are the things you need to stop doing? I want to hear what you guys are working on and what types of habits you are becoming aware of that are getting in the way or taking you closer. All right, everybody, we will pick up on this with BJ Fogg's habit formula. That's not the right way to say it. BJ Fogg's sort of view on how a habit or on how a behavior happens, his behavior model, tomorrow. That I fumbled that. BJ Fogg's behavior model happens tomorrow. I will see you guys then.